Have you ever wondered how Brazil, a country in South America, came to speak Portuguese? It's a story that starts over 500 years ago. A tale of vast oceans, brave explorers, and a dramatic clash of cultures that would change the course of history forever. In the year 1500, a fleet of Portuguese ships, commanded by Pedro Álvares, was sailing down the coast of Africa, aiming for the lucrative spice trade in India. But fate, and perhaps some strong ocean currents, pushed them far off course. After weeks at sea, a lookout shouted the words every sailor longs to hear, Terra, a vista, land in sight. What they saw wasn't India, but a stunning coastline with lush, green forests and pristine beaches. They had accidentally stumbled upon a massive, unknown land that would one day be called Brazil. As the Portuguese sailors came ashore, they were met by the original inhabitants of this land, the indigenous peoples. Groups like the Tupinambag and many others had lived there for thousands of years, with rich cultures, deep knowledge of the rainforest, and complex societies of their own. At first, the encounter was one of curiosity. The indigenous people were fascinated by the Europeans' strange clothes, metal tools, and massive ships. The Portuguese, in turn, were amazed by the natural paradise they had found and the vibrant people who lived there. They described the land as a Garden of Eden. The initial interactions were mostly peaceful trade. The Portuguese were particularly interested in a special kind of wood that produced a red dye, similar to the color of a glowing ember, or brasa in Portuguese. They called it pau-brasil, or Brazil wood, and this valuable resource is what gave the country its name. The indigenous people would trade the wood for things they'd never seen before, like metal knives, axes, and mirrors. For a while, it seemed like a simple, mutually beneficial exchange. However, the Portuguese crown soon realized the immense potential of this new territory. It wasn't just about trading wood anymore, it was about claiming the land itself. More and more ships arrived, not just with sailors, but with soldiers, missionaries, and settlers. Their goal was to establish permanent colonies and build profitable sugar plantations. Batu, tate, they needed two things: land and labor. And the indigenous people had both. This is where the story takes a dark turn. The Portuguese began to claim vast territories that had been ancestral lands for generations. What started as trade turned into force. The indigenous people, who had a communal view of land and didn't believe anyone could own it, suddenly found themselves being pushed out of their homes. They fought back bravely, defending their families and their way of life with bows, arrows, and an intimate knowledge of the jungle. But they faced an unequal battle. The Portuguese had superior weapons like cannons and firearms. Even more devastating were the invisible enemies they brought with them: diseases like smallpox and measles. The indigenous populations had no immunity to these European illnesses, which spread like wildfire and tragically wiped out entire communities, sometimes reducing populations by up to 90%. Over the next few centuries, the Portuguese solidified their control. They established cities, built forts, and expanded their plantations, forever changing the landscape and the destiny of the continent. The vibrant tapestry of indigenous cultures was suppressed. Their languages were discouraged, and their spiritual beliefs were challenged. It was a period of immense loss and profound transformation. The story of how the Portuguese came to Brazil is a complex one. It's a story of accidental discovery and incredible bravery, but also one of conflict and the enduring resilience of the indigenous peoples who continue to fight for their culture and their rights to this very day. It is a crucial part of understanding the Brazil we know today, a nation forged in the fires of this historic encounter. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey back in time. If you found this story interesting, please give this video a like, and don't forget to subscribe for more deep dives into history. See you next time.